in 1993 to highlight the significance of freshwater resources and encourage actions to tackle the water crisis. Each year, United Nations Water selects a theme based on global priorities, research and challenges, guiding policies and actions for sustainable water management worldwide. The
When I had called him up, he was in UK, and his name was suggested to me by Sunil Vaidya sir. And when I called him up, he readily accepted to our invitation, and I really thank you, sir, for this. Thank you, sir.
Injuries and other occupational hazards at construction sites. He has been a driving force in improving living conditions in Mumbai slum communities. His expertise was further honed through international training management at the University of Manchester, UK. It has a bachelor degree in social work from University of Mumbai and masters in urban and rural community development from TISS. Currently, he is pursuing his PhD at TISS in social work. Mr. Jagtap's leadership has redefined community-driven sanitation.
My thanks to Institute Saraswati Engineering College for inviting me to deliver the lecture on the Sustainable Development Goal, Water and Sanitation. It is my privilege to address the young engineering students. In the future, they are going to work on the project like infrastructure development project. So in my career, since I completed my graduation, I worked with engineering cadre. When I was completed my graduation, I worked with the construction workers. You all know that you are civil engineers. You develop the infrastructures like housing, bridges, roads, etc. So construction workers are very much important element. We have to deal with them. So with them, I have worked with preventing accidents, injuries, and occupational hazards on construction site. So that was my beginning. And then in my career in the municipal corporation, I worked with civil engineers cadre as well as civil engineering staff, construction activities related to sanitation. Then mechanical engineers basically dealing with the solid waste management and what we call the sewage treatment activities. So I had a long association working with engineering cadres and staff in my career. Though I am not from engineering cadre, I am not technically qualified as an engineer, but we call unanimously now social engineering. Engineering component cannot be completed without social engineering component. Social engineering is a concept now well accepted. When I started working in 1996 with the World Bank, so that concept was new. So we have popularized that concept, and now it is well accepted. And during my presentation, we will come to know like why we are talking about the social engineering, because we need to address the issues in a multidisciplinary manner. Like we have to work in a multidisciplinary approach, because solution cannot come from only one single discipline. We need to adopt a multidisciplinary approach. And when we are working in the field, we need to have very long kind of association with various expertise, what we call nowadays the expertise, because we cannot let us solve the issues at with only particular approach. We need to have the multiple approach because the problems are basically multidimensional. Problems are not one-dimensional, problems are multidimensional, and we require the solution also multidimensional solutions. And that's why I'm here to share my experiences when working with issues like water and sanitation. So again, once again, thanks for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. This will be like a one kind of one-way communication, but we'll have some time for the question and answers. I will be happy to address your questions, doubts, and your any kind of queries related to subject matter. Thank you. Next. You see, this is like a picture, very common sight, a common picture about the water pollution. We can go to the any river or any water bodies, we can see that is how the water is polluted. The pollution is done by the various factors. It is not only human being. You can see the animals also. Animals are the major problems. 24/7 water is like a dream. We are not being able to provide 24/7 water to any city. There is no any single city which can provide a. I'm just wanting to give the example of Delhi. Go to like a travel by 2 hours. In Delhi district, you can see the water scarcity in our country. Like a palm, but still we have the lack of water in some of the villages. So from the social point of view, economic point of view, and ecosystem point of view, water is very, very essential that we need to address issue of the eve of the 22nd World Water Day. Managing water is a part of the governance. You see, water cannot be addressed without the participation of the governance. Government role is very crucial. So I have worked with the municipal corporation, I have with the government of Maharashtra, and I understand the importance of the government role increasing because we have the very large population and population is increasing, and to meet the need of this large population, we require the sufficient water. We need to have the sufficient water in terms of as per the norms. So according to Niti Aayog, we can see that the water stressed countries are there. We are constantly Niti Aayog getting the water from the wells, rivers, and various other places. Recently, I had done some study in a Shahpur block where we have given the water wheels for the women because they had to carry the water load on their head. So instead of carrying the water head with some of the engineering students, they came up with a water wheel, and that water wheels were used in a tribal area. So there are solutions. Problems are there, and with the people like you, engineering cadre, we offer the solution also. Instead of carrying water on the head, so that ladies like use the water wheel to bring the water from the wells. So her labor and her trouble has been reduced to certain extent. So this is a very important aspect. That is the fluoride is one of the major kind of reason for the pollution of the water, which harms your teeth and your bone density. So from the health point of view, water is very, very important, and it should not be contaminated with the bacteria as well as some kind of chemicals like a fluoride. Bacteria is one of the major reasons for the pollution of the water. At the same time, fluoride is also a reason for the water pollution. There may be different kind of reasons for the pollution of the water, but I am addressing some of the few important where the water scarcity is there, there is no sufficient water for the population. Water prerequisite is for the poverty reduction. Water needs to address, water issue needs to be addressed from the poverty reduction point of view. Food security, water is also required for the agriculture, because without water we cannot have the agriculture, we cannot have industrial development, and more or less we cannot have the health and education issues, and it is essential for the ecosystem. Like an entire ecosystem is dependent upon Warsaw nalas. You can see that there are various kind of nalas. Miti river also had turned into the nalas because of the excess water, what we call wastewater. Wastewater are discharged into the these water bodies, and our systems are getting polluted. A lot of students comes with us and they do the projects on this Miti river. They do the assessment of the project. So these are some of the things which we are concerned from the sources of water, how we are polluting our sources of water. And out of this surface water, 87% is stored in lakes, 11% is stored in swamps, and only 2% available in rivers. So whatever water is available, it is distributed into various ecosystems like water bodies. And the water bodies, if those water bodies are getting polluted, they cannot be used for the consumption of the water. So this water gets automatically unfit for the consumption. So these are some of the sources of water on earth and how we are made evaporation. These are some of the various. I will not go into the detail. It goes finally to the underground. That is what we storage. It is storage into the underground, and that is how the entire dynamics of the water take place, and water hydrological cycle of the water is understand us to see the dynamics of the water, where the water is contaminated, how the water is coming. You must have heard. Once you complete your education, you will be working with this kind of the institute. You may be you may be engaged in construction dam, you may be engaged in construction of bridge, houses, etc., etc. So we will be dealing with this kind of statistical information. What last point I wanted to mention, we have a cumulative 4 to 3% now in terms of the population growth. We are leading in the China has controlled their population, but India is still lagging behind in controlling their population. The population growth is one of the important concerns for the when we are talking about the water and sanitation. Next. Water issues. I just wanted to just brief you. I will not go in detail to avoid the repetition. You see, look at we require the 92% water for the agriculture. Because the food security is dependent upon the consumption of water. We require the water for the agriculture. What we have in the basmati sugar factories, sugar is required more water. So at present, water is required for the agriculture. 5% for the domestic and 3% for the industrial. We do not have industrial growth. Some areas are very backward in the industrial growth because only 3% of water is available. Because if you want to have the industrial progress, we also need water. Without water, we cannot have the industrial growth. So these are some of the important cornerstones for the development: agriculture, industry, and consumption. That is what we call domestic consumption. Water is very essential, and there is always like a 92% of water is required for the agriculture, and 5% also. This is unequally not distributed. If so many issues are there, why the government is not doing anything? That definitely you may be having a question in your mind. What is happening? We are addressing this issue without understanding the dynamics of the water supply, without understanding the reality. What we are having that every year we are spending money on the infrastructure, but water, we have the hand pumps, but hand pumps are dry. 10 crore toilets require retrofitting. They require the constant repairs. Unless they are not properly repaired, they are not going to sustain. So how to repair this toilet? How the technology can be, as you go to the Gujarat, Rajasthan, these are naturally water deficit areas. So we also need to have the water deficit. How to measure the water deficit? Because there are water deficit slums, water deficit areas, states, and so on. So water deficit, like a water audit, we need to conduct the water audits also when we are assessing the availability of the water. So water issue cannot be resolved without technology, and I call it is like basically it is linked with the hardware and software. If we construction is the hardware, commercial crops, we are fetching the water from underground water. Like I just wanted to give my example from the major reason for the earthquake, because they were having the grapes cultivation, and grapes were produced and they require a lot of water, so they were taking the water from the ground. And that because of that one theory about earthquake at Latur Usmanabad, because commercialization of the agriculture, like a sugar cane, I mentioned about the sugar cane, water or like what you call monocropping, because this our system, we are basically coming to the commercial angle, and we are over exploiting the resources, and that is one of the reasons for the water scarcity. In another, government doesn't have the proper regulation. Like I go to the Thames River. I was in UK. Thames River once upon a time was very water schemes in the villages, because there is the Jal Shakti mission is going on. A lot of times, we have come up with a solution, but we have not been able to afford the solution in a real terms to address the water scarcity issue. Still, we can see that there are issues related kharghar yojana, जो government of India का program है Jal Shakti mission, but these missions are not really giving the result because of various reasons. I will not blame any one particular government or any particular entity, but we are all responsible for the failures of the schemes which are announced by the government. And there are different needs. We need to have the proper analysis we need to have the proper
This
diagnosis.
is VR, guys.
Without diagnosis, we cannot offer the solution. What we were acting like there is no water. Awareness with the appropriate infrastructure is very much essential. हम लोग क्या करते हैं, अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करते हैं लेकिन अप्रोप्रिएट टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं देते हैं, अप्रोप्रिएट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं देते हैं. तो गांव के अंदर मैंने देखा कि ट्राइबल एरिया के अंदर वो घर का जो वैल्यूएबल थिंग्स है ट्राइबल लोगों ने अपने टॉयलेट के अंदर बंद करके रखा है, उसको लॉक लगाया है, घर खुले है, घर के अंदर कुछ भी नहीं. मैंने घर के अंदर देखा तो वहाँ मुर्गियाँ बैठी है, कुत्ते बैठे हैं, और सब लोग घर के सभी परिवार माइग्रेट होके वर्क के लिए. तो हमारा जो टॉयलेट का जो घर, हम घर में टॉयलेट दिया है लेकिन व्हेन द पर्सन, उनका एक ही काम नहीं, घर में लाइवलीहुड भी है, उसका लाइवलीहुड के लिए कहा जाएगा वो. तो ये हम लोग एक होलिस्टिक सॉल्यूशन नहीं देते हैं, हम लोग सॉल्यूशन देते हैं सेगमेंट में. पैसा है ग्राम पंचायत के पास और ग्राम पंचायत का रूल बना है टॉयलेट किधर बांधना है, घर के नजदीक बांधना है, उसकी जमीन होनी चाहिए. अभी उसका 7-12 का और टॉयलेट का क्या संबंध है? आपका आधार कार्ड चेक किया था? सुबह टॉयलेट में जाने से पहले आपका कोई किसी ने चेक किया था क्या? Is there anybody your parents have said you show me your आधार कार्ड and then you go for the toilet? What kind of rules we have made? तो मुझे क्या लगता है कि जो हमारे स्कीम्स है फेलियर होने के बहुत सारे रीजंस है. हमारा गवर्नेंस का जो इशू रोल है बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो आई विल नॉट गो इनटू द डिटेल्स अबाउट द water related issues. Because I have enough talk about that. Next. This is the one of sanitation and water. Are you getting bored or what? Shall I continue?
Yes.
Yeah. If you are getting bored because this is not a very interesting topic, I know. But you should understand universal access to water. What are the points are to be considered? I can read it. Hello. Just you look at the 6.1 target of water. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go near to that place. Access to improve the water sources. Pipe water is very very important. Public taps are important. Tube wells are important. You see, when you are looking at the critically evaluating the scheme, what should the parameter from the sustainable development goal point of view? These are some of the kind of parameters. When we are criticizing the government, we are criticizing the government. We should not criticism for the sake of criticism. What we should have the proper analysis. When we are talking about the universal access to sanitation, so how gradually it comes. What are the steps? First thing, that is the access to improved water. Access to improved water consists of what? You should have the regular, easy access to water. Because I just give the example, people has to walk for the 2-3 kilometers to fetch the water. Is that easy access to water? And carrying water load on your head and fetching the water for family, male will not understand this problem. Female will understand. Because we basically, male are not involved in this kind of work, female are involved. So access to improved water consists of piped water. Okay, then we have it should be available to your backyard. It should be available to your, near to your house. You don't have to walk for the long time. So public tap are important, tube wells are also important, protected dead wells, protected spring, rainwater, etc. And last you can see the bottled water. The people who are afford can buy the 20 rupees 1 liter water. Okay, if you are having the like 2-3 bottles, you are spending how much? 40 rupees, 60 rupees. And you see that is how much, what is the rate of the municipal water? Municipal water is much cheaper. But we will not go for the water because we don't trust on the government. And who working in the government? People like you, engineers. Your people are going to work like people like you. Who manage the water? Technical people manage the water supply. But same person, so in municipal corporation we have stopped using the water bottles. It's like a distrust on our work, own work. Why we cannot say confidently, yes, our water is fit? And really, I will tell you, municipal corruption in Greater Mumbai, our engineers have done best work. It's one of the cleanest water. But water get contaminated in the slum area when the people puncture the pipeline. There are untrained plumbers are there. And municipal corporation, as my practical experience, you cannot have the water connection unless you go to the plumber. Our systems. And who are these plumbers? Untrained. You people are being trained as the engineers. How many years? But plumber doesn't have any training. He can puncture any your pipeline and fetch the water from there, illegal. And blame comes from whom? Engineers. I am blaming right now to engineers. But these are some of the systemic fault. It is not a fault of the engineer, it is the system's fault. So what we need, I wanted to tell you, these people who are disbelieve on the government, we should establish the credentials of the government. And I am here to strive for the establish the credentials of the government. Because government is one of the very large entity and it needs to work for that. Because water issue cannot be addressed unless government is there. There's another thing, universal access to sanitation. Sanitation just by constructing the toilet, issue is not going to resolve. You must use the toilet. Are you getting my point? Access to toilet and using the actual toilet, these are two different things. Our construction ho gaya hai, but toilets are not. This I given the example of the tribal area. Toilet is constructed, but the tribals are moved from their home to in search of the livelihood to the brick. So these are some of the issues which you need to understand, and access to sanitation. These are some of the parameters how we can look at the whether universalization of water and sanitation are taking place or not. So sustainable development goal has these kind of parameters, and these parameters are more complex. Like when you go to the more complex issue, space is another one thing. You get everything for the illegal construction, but you will not get a site for the constructing the toilet. I have dealt with the slum area. Constructing the community toilet in slum area is very, very critical, because people can illegally encroach many places. But when you want to work for the sanitation, I have been prevented to construct the toilet in Goregaon. Goregaon where? Goregaon area. Borivali ke baaju. So slums hai, tribal hai, 42 tribal padas are there, but they are without toilets. The Green Tribunal doesn't allow me to construct the toilet. But I can have the metro, but I cannot construct the toilet. My engineers and myself, we had made lot of attempt to construct the toilet for the tribal community, 42 padas, but in the same area, metro is allowed. Metro card shed was there. I'm just talking about the contradiction in the system. I don't want to blame either one person or one department, but there is a lot of multiple kind of issues within the system, and we must understand these complex issues in our when we are addressing the water and sanitation. Next, I think the 60% of population has to think when I go for the toilet, how much time I have to wait for in the queue. How much time I have to queue. That is, what are the solutions? Okay, problems were understood. So what is the solution? So what we should have we should have the proper management techniques and strategies for the water supply. In a rural area, urban area, we need to have the greater planning. And the planning consists of planning, then designing, construction, and operation and maintenance of the schemes. Water related schemes, sanitation related schemes required, like 4 components are there. One is designing, planning. Second, you as the engineers will be involved in planning. Second part will be the designing, like how you are designing the scheme. Third area is the construction, actual construction of the scheme. And fourth, after construction,